The American Civil War 1861–1865 is often remembered for its massive battles, famous generals, and the fight between the Union and the Confederacy. But beneath the gunfire and glory lay a shadowy war one fought not with bullets, but with secrets. This was the hidden world of espionage, where spies, double agents, and secret codes shaped the fate of nations. At the outbreak of the Civil War, neither side had a formal intelligence system. Both the Union and the Confederacy had to build networks from scratch. Abraham Lincoln, realizing how critical intelligence was, authorized the creation of the Union's Secret Service Bureau, led by Allan Pinkerton, a Scottish-born detective who became the first modern spymaster in American history. Pinkerton's network gathered crucial information on Confederate movements, enemy plans, and even assassination plots against Lincoln himself. On the Confederate side, their most famous spy network operated under the leadership of women who risked everything to aid their cause. One of the most famous was Belle Boyd, often called the Cleopatra of the Confederacy. At just 17 years old, she used her charm to gather intelligence from Union officers and pass it to Confederate generals. Another key figure was Rose O'Neal Greenhow, a Washington socialite who sent critical information to the South, helping them win the First Battle of Bull Run. Spying during the Civil War wasn't only about charm or disguise, it was also about innovation. Telegraph wires became lifelines for both sides, but also tools for deception. Cipher experts worked tirelessly to break enemy codes, leading to the early use of cryptography in American warfare. The Union Army used a system of telegraph tapping and code breaking to intercept Confederate communications, giving them an edge in key campaigns. One of the most daring Union spies was Elizabeth Van Lew, a Richmond socialite who ran an entire network from within the Confederate capital. She sent valuable intelligence to the Union by hiding messages in hollow-out eggs and coded letters concealed inside clothing seams. Her servant, Mary Bowser, a freed black woman with a photographic memory, infiltrated the Confederate White House itself, gathering secrets directly from Jefferson Davis's office. Another fascinating figure was Timothy Webster, a Union agent who went deep undercover in Richmond. He gathered intelligence so valuable that Pinkerton called him the best spy in America. But betrayal came from within. Webster was caught, tried, and executed by the Confederates, becoming one of the first American spies to be hanged for his work. Espionage also played a key role in military strategy. General Robert E. Lee relied heavily on intelligence from scouts and informants, while Union generals like Ulysses S. Grant used spies to plan massive offensives, such as the Overland Campaign. The war became a laboratory for intelligence work, testing surveillance, infiltration, code systems, and counter-espionage techniques that would evolve into the modern CIA and FBI. By 1865, both sides had learned that wars are not just fought on battlefields, they are won in the shadows. The Civil War's secret history of espionage laid the foundation for modern intelligence warfare. From hidden messages in corsets to codes sent by telegraph, the spies of the Civil War changed history not with guns, but with secrets. When the American Civil War began in 1861, both the Union and the Confederacy quickly realized that they could not rely solely on brute strength and battle formations. Information, the secret movement of troops, the plans of generals, and the morale of cities became the most valuable weapon. This realization gave birth to organized espionage in America. President Abraham Lincoln understood this early. To survive, the Union needed intelligence just as much as it needed cannons. He hired Allan Pinkerton, a Scottish-born detective famous for protecting railroad companies from robbers. Pinkerton created the Union Intelligence Service, the first organized spy network in U.S. history. His agents gathered intelligence on Confederate troop strength, supply lines, and political movement. They operated under false names, often disguising themselves as traders, farmers, or even Southern sympathizers. Pinkerton himself often rode behind enemy lines. His most famous success came before the war, when he uncovered an assassination plot against Lincoln during his journey to Washington for inauguration. Later, during the war, Pinkerton's reports helped the Union avoid ambushes and organize counterattacks. However, his intelligence was sometimes flawed. He overestimated Confederate strength, which caused Union generals to act too cautiously. Still, his methods, surveillance, coded reports, and infiltration were revolutionary for their time. On the Confederate side, intelligence was more decentralized. Jefferson Davis, President of the Confederacy, relied on individuals rather than an organized bureau. He often used scouts, sympathizers, and loyal agents scattered across border states. These Confederate spies operated in dangerous conditions, as Union territory was filled with counterintelligence patrols. The Confederacy's most famous espionage ring was led by women and civilians. Without access to official channels, these networks relied on personal bravery and cunning. They smuggled letters hidden in jewelry, medicines, and even hollow bullets. Confederate agents used invisible ink and secret codes to communicate with generals. In time, both sides began using balloon observers, secret couriers, and even the telegraph for spying. These innovations marked a turning point. America had entered the age of organized espionage. What began as small acts of courage soon evolved into a system of intelligence gathering that would shape every future conflict. While men fought on the battlefields, women became the unseen heroes of the espionage war. They used their positions in society as nurses, hostesses, and wives to gather information unnoticed. Their bravery often decided the outcomes of battles that history remembers. One of the most legendary was Belle Boyd, a daring young woman from Virginia. At only 17, she charmed Union officers stationed in her town, listened to their conversations, and passed their military secrets to Confederate commanders. Her messages helped Confederate General Stonewall Jackson win victories in the Shenandoah Valley. Captured multiple times, Belle never gave up. She escaped prison, continued spying, and later became a celebrity after the war. Another remarkable woman was Rose O'Neal Greenhow, a Washington, D.C. socialite. She had powerful friends in the Union government, and through them, she sent coded messages to the Confederacy. Her intelligence helped win the First Battle of Bull Run, the Confederacy's first major victory. The Union discovered her network and placed her under house arrest, but she continued sending messages by hiding them in children's dolls. Even after being imprisoned, she remained defiant, saying, "You can imprison my body, but never my soul." But perhaps the most cunning of all was Elizabeth Van Lew, a wealthy Unionist living in Richmond, the Confederate capital. Pretending to be insane to avoid suspicion, she built an entire spy network that delivered priceless intelligence to the Union Army. Her servant, Mary Bowser, who was a freed black woman, worked as a maid inside the Confederate White House. With her sharp memory, Mary observed documents on Jefferson Davis's desk and reported them to Van Lew, who sent the information north through coded letters hidden in hollow eggs. These women were not just helpers, they were pioneers. They redefined intelligence work by combining courage with creativity. Their ability to use social roles as weapons made them invisible to the enemy and deadly in their success. One of the least known but most vital aspects of Civil War espionage was the work of African American spies. Enslaved people and freedmen used their unique positions to gather intelligence that shaped the course of the war. They could move through Confederate areas unnoticed, listening to officers, observing troop movements, and carrying messages to Union forces. A prime example was Mary Bowser, who worked under Elizabeth Van Lew. Her position inside the Confederate White House gave the Union direct access to Jefferson Davis's top secrets. She had an extraordinary memory and could recall entire documents after just one glance. Her courage was unmatched. Discovery meant certain death, but she continued her mission until the war's end. Another unsung hero was Harriet Tubman, already famous for leading enslaved people to freedom through the Underground Railroad. During the war, she became the first woman in U.S. history to lead an armed military expedition. As a Union spy, she organized a network of informants across South Carolina. Her intelligence helped Union forces launch the Combahee River Raid in 1863, freeing more than 700 enslaved people and destroying Confederate supplies. Black Union soldiers and laborers also played a vital role. Many posed as servants or field hands to listen in on Confederate plans. Some served as guides for Union generals, knowing the terrain better than any map. Their bravery and intelligence were often unrecognized in history books, but without them, many Union victories would not have been possible. The story of black espionage in the Civil War is one of silent sacrifice. These operatives risked everything, often without reward or recognition, to bring an end to slavery and save the Union. Their courage reshaped the very meaning of patriotism. In the 1860s, communication had entered a new era, the age of the telegraph. For the first time in history, messages could be sent instantly across great distances. But this new power also brought new dangers: interception, decoding, and deception. Both the Union and Confederacy quickly realized that control of telegraph lines could determine the fate of armies. The Union created the U.S. Military Telegraph Corps, which not only managed battlefield communication, but also intercepted Confederate messages. Code experts called cipher clerks who worked day and night to break enemy ciphers. They developed new encryption methods, using random letter codes and number systems. The Confederates responded by creating their own secret codes, often based on Bible verses or complex substitution systems. Messages were hidden in everyday letters or sent through flag signals from hilltops. Both sides used invisible ink, with lemon juice being a favorite choice. The text would only appear when heated. Telegraph operators themselves became spies. Some pretended to work for one side while secretly transmitting to the other. This telegraph war became a silent duel of wits. The Union, with its superior infrastructure and funding, eventually dominated. By 1864, most Confederate communications were either jammed or intercepted, giving the Union a massive advantage. These secret code battles marked the birth of modern cryptography. From simple ciphers to advanced encryption, the Civil War's code wars proved that in modern conflict, information was more powerful than firepower. By the war's end in 1865, the lessons of espionage had been written in blood and bravery. The American Civil War transformed intelligence from an act of courage into an organized system, a foundation for modern spy agencies. After the war, Allan Pinkerton's methods evolved into the groundwork for both the Secret Service and the FBI. His focus on surveillance, disguise, and undercover work became standard. The use of cipher codes and wiretapping paved the way for 20th-century intelligence techniques. For the Confederacy, their use of civilian networks, especially women and African Americans, demonstrated that espionage could come from anywhere. The war blurred the line between soldier and spy, but perhaps the greatest legacy was human. The stories of Belle Boyd, Rose Greenhow, Harriet Tubman, and Mary Bowser inspired generations of operatives who understood that wars are not only fought on battlefields. They are fought in whispers, shadows, and secret messages. The Civil War taught America a lasting truth that information is the strongest weapon a nation can wield. The courage of its spies turned the tide of history, proving that even in the darkest times, knowledge can be more powerful than the sword.